Agenda item number 4, receive update on Highway 82 project from John Goodwin with Lochner. John, if you want to come to the podium.
Yes, sir.
I think you presented to Commissioner Blackburn and myself something to sign off on that we decided really ought to come to Commissioner's Court.
You bet. Well, Judge, Commissioners, staff, citizens, my name is John Goodwin, and I serve as your US 82 Program Manager. First, let me thank you for allowing me to help improve US 82 in Bowie County. Construction work on US 82 continues to progress, and you may have noticed that the landscape has changed fairly significantly between DeKalb and New Boston. Contractor James Construction Group is currently performing earthwork and drainage work, cement treating areas, and placing cement treated base as the foundation for the proposed concrete pavement. And we expect them to continue to be doing so this next month, weather permitting. As all of you may know, this last year was not very highway construction friendly. With a very cold and wet winter and spring, and really a summer construction season that began late. And US 82 progress fell short of expectations, with the project falling a little behind schedule. My hope was that we could make up some time this summer, but that didn't happen. The contractor schedule that was submitted in September indicated that the contractor would finish the project in the fall of 2015, significantly behind the contract expected finish date of the spring of 2015. So as a result, Lochner wrote a kind letter to the contractor. They asked if the contractor really intended to finish the project significantly late based on their last schedule, or if they intended to accelerate construction and try to catch up time and finish the project on time, or something in between, because our finishing late in this contract results in some hefty contract penalties or disincentives for the contractor. For everyone's information, the US 82 construction contract contains 2 damage provisions for not finishing on time that I'd like to further explain. One of these damage provisions in the construction contract is a milestone disincentive. This addresses the harm to Bowie County due to TxDOT delaying their repayments back, once the project is finished. This contract damage amount is $4,764 per working day, or approximately $105,000 per month. Okay. This essentially suspends time on Bowie County's bond payments or interest payments by having the contractor carry that interest burden after he's used the number of working days in the contract. Okay. So these damages offset those additional interest costs for the business. The other damage provision is a liquidated damage to address harm to Bowie County due to additional on-site project inspection and project management for construction engineering inspection. This contract damage amount is a TxDOT standard rate of $2,590 per working day, or about $57,000 per month for projects who happen to cost over $20 million. This contract damage would help offset, the additional cost of kind of increased construction engineering costs being provided by Lochner, really protecting us as your engineer. Recently, this last month, the contractor submitted an accelerated schedule showing to finish the project in the late spring of 2015, near the end of the school year, which to me appears to be very optimistic. The contractor recently asked to meet to discuss their schedule and their resulting finish date and detail, and we anticipate meeting with them this next week. After this meeting, and once we have a realistic target date established, I'll be reporting and working with Bowie County, the commissioners and the judge to address extending kind of our work authorization for construction engineering inspection to match the contractor's schedule. And which was, I guess, one of the precipitating events, because we realized that with the contract falling significantly behind, that we would be constructing this project more than the 20 months that was originally set up in the contract. Let me finish by saying that we have a good contractor. We're getting good work. He's doing good work. And we expect that we'll wind up getting a good end product from the contractor. We're working with the contractor to get this project done as soon as possible in a cooperative manner. That really concludes my project update. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that anyone may have concerning the project. Thank you.
And we put it on the agenda in such a way that we're not here to vote on anything today. There's some issues still to be settled to get us some more accurate figures and all. But I want us to get started on this. Commissioner Blackburn and I certainly wanted to address in court. Could you give a total dollar figure of about how much you were asking Lochner's contract to be extended by dollar-wise?
Yeah, it was, I believe the amount was approximately $70,000 per month. And at the time we were estimating, that could be like 5 months, which would be close to $350,000. If the contractor figures out a way to compress his time down, we may only be looking at 2 or 3 months. But again, once the contractor, uses up his allotted time, he starts paying that liquidated damage amount that offset kind of our engineering cost. It's not quite 100% coverage. It may be 70, 75, 80% coverage on those costs.
You're saying it costs $70,000 a month?
Yeah, I believe
it's covered about $57,000.
Yeah, and some of that depends on how many work days he works. Like, if he works like in a month, like an additional couple Saturdays to try to catch up or finish, he gets charged a working day on those Saturdays that he works. And so the $57,000 was based on 22 working days, which we were charging working days Monday through Friday. So if he works a couple additional days, that adds another $5,000 a month to his liquidated damage amount.
The other huge potential expense to the county is with the completion of the project at the beginning of the state keeping track of the number of vehicles for a year and then reimbursing us 7 cents per vehicle. Per vehicle mile?
Yes, sir.
On that 4.5 mile stretch. If it's delayed significantly, there's a huge principal payment, I believe, William, that starts up, that was timed to arrive just as we were supposed to get that first big check from the state. And if the delay caused us to not have that check from the state, it put the county in quite a bind.
I think originally, when we were looking at some cash flow projections, I think the bond council looked at receiving payments in like the summer of 2016. And so, we had our contract scheduled to finish in the spring. And as long as they finish before August or so, we'd still be within that initially, the conceptual kind of payment and receipt from TxDOT, as far as the kind of those payments. So we've got about 3 or 4 months to kind of play with it. Will we be in line with the time schedule that we had kind of with the original bond program?
How long have they been working? When did we grant that contract?
The contract was executed at the end of March of 2014. They were given, you know, well, that was when the bid was opened. The bid was, bids were received in March of 2014. We had to go through some TxDOT approval process. It took a couple months to get the contract executed. I want to say that was in the 1st of May of 2014. We issued a notice to proceed. He had 60 days to start work, and he used up 60 days and started work in July of 2014. So, you know, we're a year and 2 or 3 months into the actual physical beginning of counting working days and having the stopwatch or the clock going.
So we've fallen 5 months behind in 15 months of time.
Yes, sir.
We don't know what this weather's going to bring.
No, I wish I had a crystal ball to see not only the weather, but what the stock market was going to do today. But, you know, you hope that over an extended period of time that the dry periods and the wet periods would kind of even itself out, and that, you know, on average that you know, you wouldn't have an overly bad condition or favorable condition just due to statistical variation over a long period of time. But this last year was the winter and spring was cold and wet. You know, last summer, you know, at the beginning, the onset of construction last July and August, September were fairly dry months. It wasn't too bad. This winter and spring were bad. This summer was actually pretty good, but I think you know, my opinion is that the contractor was probably overwhelmed with being behind on so many other projects that they have. They're one of the top, as far as dollar volume contractors in the state of Texas, doing TxDOT work. One of the subcontractors said that they were like the highest one, but I can't verify that. But I know that they're one of the top TxDOT dollar volume contractors in the state.
Let me ask you this. The work that had to be done during the rainy time that was getting delayed had a lot to do with the groundwork, working the ground. I think we all saw a picture in the paper of a tractor with a sweeper in front or something that was sunk in a hole where it got so muddy it just sunk in. And so if we were to have a rainy spell just like last winter and spring, is that as likely to delay the concrete work they're doing as it was the dirt work they were doing this last spring and spring?
I would say that it would have a significant impact, but not as significant as it was last year, because, you know, they are getting some working areas. We have some areas that, you know, the contractor can be doing some concrete work, you know, just while it's not raining. You know, when you're doing earthwork, not only do you have to contend with, you know, with it raining, but then you got to wait for everything to dry out, and you have to compact the earth, you know, at certain moisture contents, or you can't get the density requirements based on the field testing. And so, you know, you know, some of you may have seen big plows behind some big tractors, where the contractor kind of digs up, you know, like plows up a section of embankment, and then just to let it, fluffs it up, let it air out so that it dries it out, gets it to the proper moisture content, so that when he puts his rolling equipment on it, that he can kind of get density. That water, you need enough water to provide the lubrication to get your density. If you have too much, then it's, you know, you can't get density, and if you have too little, you can't get density. So there's somewhat a little art to this in science to just compacting the earth. Otherwise, down the road, you know, the embankments will either settle on you, and then you'll start having either a poorly riding road, or it'll be kind of undulating as you kind of travel down the roadway.
So you'd like to be back on the agenda with some concrete figures and action by the court approving your request to extend your contract?
Correct, yes. We had figured 20 months, which runs out like in March, you know, this coming March, and I really don't think the contractor's going to be finished, so we're just seeking a contract extension based on what we feel like the contract's going to need. And we'll work with the county to address whatever that need might be.
How are you going to justify that need by the weather, basically?
Well, you know, as far as now we're still holding the contractor to the number of working days, and you know, the contractor will discuss, you know, like the number of working days, or the weather being too wet, or not being able to do things, you know, when.
So you listen to those excuses and then.
We'll listen to them, but you know, I think, you know, in all your contracts, you're going to be negotiating to some degree. We're probably in a lot stronger position the way the contract is written.
If the cost of this contract goes up, what's the chance on renegotiating with the state on our cost per car?
Our negotiating with TxDOT is really done. It's really a done deal.
It is what it is there.
It is. That won't change. You know, we're just trying to get the contractor to finish as soon as possible, because that'll benefit kind of everyone. Because again, the contractor will be hit, you know, with pretty hefty damage amounts if he doesn't finish on time, which I don't think he will.
And in way of explanation, when the state starts reimbursing us, I call it a reverse toll road. When they start reimbursing us, I believe we have a 10 to 15-year window at a cap of about 27 million that they'll reimburse. No sooner than 10 years, but they won't reimburse after 15 years.
Well, the way TxDOT has it is they'll do a vehicle mile kind of reimbursement and come up with a dollar amount, and it will be no less than 5% of our payback, which, you know, would make it taking 20 years to pay you back. Nor will it be no more than 10%. So it would take you at the least amount at least 10 years. So they're looking at a payback between 10 to 20 years. They kind of shoot for, you know, something around 13 to 15 year payback time period. If we have a lot of traffic, and you know through the traffic counts and the kind of the 7 cents per vehicle mile kind of reimbursement rate, then we'll get paid back quicker. If we don't have so much traffic, then it'll take a little longer to get paid back.
So we need to find all kinds of excuses to go get
Yes. Yeah.
Would pay us to go up there and drive back and forth from 7 cents.
I want to reroute all your school buses, emergency vehicles, anything you can.
But if I remember, we did use, I believe, 2010 traffic count figures as to what we thought it would be as a minimum. And something could drastically happen that it would be less, but it's not like that. Already, it's probably greater than the 2010 level.
Oh, the good news on the project is that, you know, we intend to come in under budget.
Hallelujah.
So, you know, we're working, that's one of the things that we were working with the contractor on, is continually to try to figure out things that we can cut, scrimp, save, and on a continual basis.
And then it's continual, it's just a negotiation back and forth, and sometimes you add 10 to 20, 30,000, and sometimes you take that off, and
Yeah.
we get those reports from you.
I think our change orders to date have been, you know, in the favor of Bowie County to the tune of like 30,000, and I've had a couple field changes that have been beneficial to the county to the tune of a few $1,000s as well, so.
Then we had a survey that wasn't.
Right. Yeah,
Steve, John expands, you said 57,000 a month. Is that in the contract, so that's not negotiable?
yeah, the dollar figure per working day is in the contract. So it just depends on, like, if it's a month of February, where you'd only have like 4 weeks, Monday through Friday, so that'd be 20 working days. So it'd be 20 times that 25.90. But like if it's the month of July, and you had 22 working days and he worked a couple Saturdays, you know, he could be charged like 24 working days that month. So, you know, the number of working days varies each month, but, you know, something to the tune of $57,000 a month is going to be kind of close to what you're looking at on a per monthly rate basis.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you, John.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.